Hi everybody, it's Russ from My Hammers 11. I hope you're all safe and well. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing and hit the bell notification so you're notified, of course, of any time we put new content on. Videos going up daily. Some days you're lucky, you might get 2 uploads in a day, as we've got so many people, so many great guests wanting to talk to us, including today's guest. How to describe Steve Kreeger? He's designer. He's obviously got a day job, another day job. You'll have seen his fantastic Subbuteo artwork that Ben Shepherd put up on Twitter last week. And I imagine he's probably got lots of orders off the back of that, hopefully. It's Steve Kreeger. Hi, Steve. How are you?
Yeah, all right. Thanks. You?
Yeah, not bad. Thank you. Muddling through this strange new world we live in, but
yeah, it's the new. I don't know what normal was, but it is the new normal. Apparently,
it is the new normal. It started off as interesting, then it became interesting because obviously you're working from home all the time. Then it became sort of an annoyance, and now it's just the normal now, isn't it? Which is
it's figuring out, I guess, the coming period. But
and could
thanks for that introduction, though. Appreciate that.
Yeah, not bad. As I said, probably, no disrespect, probably no one heard of you until like Ben turned up and like
I'm a nobody.
There's nobody. No one knows. Still no one knows who I am. But obviously, that must have been so cool, because obviously Ben,
it was
lovely guy, and getting that through.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it came through Ian Dale. A number of years ago, I used to write as a writer for West Ham Till I Die blog.
Yeah, sure.
About 5 or 6 years ago, and so I've never met Ian actually, but I've been communicating with him a few times through that, and was part of that writing team. And then I created a bit of artwork for him and sent that to him because I know he's a massive West Ham fan, obviously. He loved it, and then he tweeted it, which triggered. He mentioned Ben in his tweet and said, "I bet Ben would love one of these." And then it kind of went from there, which was cool. So it's kind of down to Ian Dale. Thanks very much, Ian.
Yeah.
And there's been loads of good sort of comments and ideas, and I've done one for a pint of Guinness for someone. I've working on something for like a kind of a rugby concept, but also like motorsport, and so it's kind of expanding out, which is quite fun.
I suppose it's a simple concept, isn't it? So you can apply that. Just Subbuteo is football, but why can't it be, and can't it be other ones? It's a similar. No, I think it's great. I think it's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, no, it's cool. Yeah.
And it just shows the West Ham family. People talk about the family of West Ham, but as you said, you've never spoken to Ian. I mean, we've interviewed Ian. He's going to be on the channel soon. Lovely guy, and that's happened to him, and that's and it's the same with this channel. One guy knows someone else, and he gets someone else's phone number, and it's amazing. Sort of the connections you make just because you support the same club.
And I love that, and I think that's the thing that I guess talking about some of the things that we will this afternoon is one of the biggest things that I love about West Ham is the community vibe of it, and I think that that goes back to my early days when I was a junior Hammer member, and we used, I think I still got it somewhere, a little blue t-shirt with the old badge on it saying Junior Hammers and Herbie on it or something. I can't remember now, but it was that whole vibe of, I think opposite the ground there was this like the members club, and upstairs every now and then, one game every now and then, or for a period of time before the game, the Junior Hammers would go in, you did colouring sheets, and I was little then, but it's that kind of idea of actually it is a community vibe, and that excitement of walking up Green Street or going into the stadium and walking around to you, and that. Yeah, I mean, let's not get onto the whole stadium move because that's a whole episode probably for you in itself, isn't it? Or even a series. But I think that has definitely changed. But what's in people as people who are fans of West Ham that's never gone, has it? And I think
no, not at all. I know what you mean. I remember you said the Junior Hammers Christmas parties as well there.
Yeah.
And you could actually, I remember the birthday parties where a player would turn up. You'd like you'd buy like be a 20, I don't know, like party room, like and then Peter Butler turned up at my brother's one, and I was like, oh my god, like could you imagine doing that now and having like kids party and I don't know, Fabianski walks in the door or Anderson, it would never happen. But I agree with that. That community is never, that spirit is never. I mean, still talking to people, they still communicate with people outside, actually Ian, I was talking to Ian and he's still, he still calls a lot of the owners and the people who used to work at Ken's Cafe and stuff like that,
Oh,
you know,
wow.
and so stuff like that. And it's lovely because all this stuff we don't know about, it all goes under the radar. And that's the idea of this, is to, you know, get some nice memories, get some community spirit up. And when we all get back to the stadium and, you know, everyone can get back in and everyone sings Bubbles that first time, I think it'll be nice. It'll be nice.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping.
I think it'll be more than nice for us. I think it'll be enjoyable and fun. And I remember there was, I think it was like a summer day they did up at Chadwell Heath when I was a kid, and for junior hammers. I remember going, I can't remember who the goalie was now, but I remember scoring a penalty against whoever was in goal. I was only about 7, I think. But I loved it, and I won this little kind of tiny plastic cup thing that I've probably still got somewhere at my parents' house. But that vibe, and you'd go into like the sort of like a sports hall thing. It was all fake Astro stuff there, and just this. It's a bit like, you know, when they do the women's team, and they're obviously building that up and trying to continue to expand that, and they're doing a lot of events around that to get
like the fun days and stuff.
The fun days, and it was that sort of idea, and I loved it. I loved it as a kid, and it felt much more than like just a football club. Which possibly that phrase might even be what Nobes talks about on his, I think the final game at Upton Park when he did his little speech. He talked about his family, didn't it? It's more than a football club, and I think it is. I think he's right.
No, I agree.
And there's not many clubs like that. So many players come in, don't they? And then when they talk about their history of clubs they've played for and the fans and the environment that they felt like a family, so often it's West Ham, the one that they talk about.
True. It's true. You think about, particularly, you know, in this world we live in at the moment, you know, when you have people like, you know, Di Canio and people like that, and, you know, guys who weren't from round here, so to speak. You know, people like Alvin Martin. I call them the adopted Cockneys. So you've got Alvin Martin and Ginger Pele and people like that who still talk so highly. Even David Cross, who we had it on the channel a day or so ago. You know, I'd finished the interview and I said, right, Dave, I don't know if I take any more time. He said, actually, can I talk for another 15 minutes about the fans? And literally, that's all we wanted to talk about, was how he was accepted, how he loved the fans. So I had to do sort of, you know, and finally, just to take it on again for him. But it's true. It's so true. And he said it's the community. It's going down Green Street. It's, you know, the 2 for £1 pick and mix man. It's, you know, it's the rib man. It was Ken's Cafe. It was the smells coming out. And you do miss that, you do lose that, and I think it's sad in that respect. But for the new generation of fans that are coming through, you know, your daughters, my daughters, and people like that, they won't have that experience, that knowledge. It will be all about the magnitude of, you know, a 60,000 stadium and, you know, stuff like that. But it's unfortunately the way football goes, isn't it? You know, all these stadiums get, you know, I mean, that was like why I always preferred Cardiff to Wembley, because Cardiff, you know, Millennium Stadium was bang in the middle of Cardiff, and you got that sense of excitement. Wembley is so sterile, and the newer grounds are, because they're so big, they have to be built in these sort of industrial estate places. Anyway. So you know, we started. We put the world to right. Don't worry, Steve. We put the world to right. That's the idea of this, because it's true. Because I think, you know, your earliest memories, you know, we don't really ask that question really, because it is about having, it is that sort of junior hammers, you know, doing the little colouring ins, clearly to put you in a good stead for the rest of your career. So. You know, that's what started you off.
I think my very first memory of actual experience with West Ham, my dad my dad has been a or most of my family, actually, going back as far as I can remember, have been a West Ham fan for generations. And so I think it's sort of just, I grew into that, I suppose. I had no option, but also I'm pleased about that, of course. But I think, one of my early ones was, I think it's before I became a Junior Hammer member, but friend of my dad's had a season ticket, and he managed to get hold of a couple of extra tickets to West Ham Barnsley, and his seat was in the chicken run, I think, but he had a chance to get, I don't know how the tickets worked back then, because I was only about 7 or 8, but he had a chance to get a couple of extra tickets, but he managed to get them right next to him. I don't know how he swapped them around. But me and my dad went with this guy Martin, and it's the first ever game I've been to generally, I think, let alone West Ham. And I was about 7 or 8 from memory, and we were losing 2-0 at half time. And I wasn't really a fan of any team at this point. I just knew West Ham was down the road. I grew up in East Ham, and I think I can't remember who scored, but we then won. It might have been McAvenny actually, but we then won 3-2 at the end of the game, and it was like a last few minutes we scored the winner. And I was like, I'm a West Ham fan.
That's it.
They are the nuts. Look at that. Look what they just did. And I think the whole experience of being at West Ham and going with my dad as well, who I knew was a big fan, and this guy Martin who had a season ticket, and he was shouting his head off all game. But it was fun. It was engaging. It was. I'd never experienced anything like it, and I think that is probably my first actual experience of certainly a proper football match. But West Ham was then in me.
Exactly. And then obviously since then until now, any other sort of fond memories that stick out, which I grew up, like I say, in East Ham, and then I went to secondary school in Romford, next door to the ground, so at Chabberleaf. I live in Hornchurch.
And okay, so you probably know the school as well. But years ago this was actually, but obviously, so at lunchtime, year 10s and upwards would get a lunchtime pass, and you could kind of go at lunch, and obviously before or after school, we'd nip in round to the ground, because I assume you probably can't really do that now, Rush Green, just hang out like by the fence, and we'd watch the players play, and then we'd wait in the car park for them to come out and get loads of signatures and that. I've still got a little book somewhere with George Paris and Slater and all these different, Trevor Morley and Frank Lampard, senior, junior, all the players that were on then. And I remember there was one time me and my mates were in year 11, and we went and Harry was manager, I read now, and we went there and had I can't remember what player we were waiting for. He'd never come out. We always missed him. He was always last out. I honestly can't remember who it was, but he probably because we never saw him. But we were waiting there, and Harry come out, and it was way beyond the time we needed to go back for school. And he went, "Boys, what are you still doing here?" I was like, we're waiting for whatever player it was. So come on, he's going to be ages. Come on, I'll drive you back. So we jumped in the back of his Mercedes. He drove us up the road about 400 yards to our school. Went into the car park, dropped us off, and I loved it. And I think that it goes back to some of the things we were just saying about that kind of family vibe. But also that's Harry, isn't it? It's the sort of thing you do. But, I love it. And I think when he was on whatever that Get Me Out of Here program recently, my daughters were watching it, and they obviously love that sort of TV. And I was like, that's Harry Redknapp. I didn't know he was on it. And I told them the story.
No, Dad. Whatever. And then you're the coolest dad for about 3 weeks.
Or less, probably. But that was definitely that was a good memory. But loads of memories of being at West Ham, of course, and different games. And I think for me, I was at the Wolves game, the first home game after Bobby Moore died, and just the emotion that was there was insane. And I've never seen Bobby Moore play. No. I'm not that lucky and not that old, but just that I knew all about him, and I know even more since then. And I think, just that whole experience on that day, and then going to the gates either side of the game and stuff, was just incredible. I think that as a memory and as a point in my fan life as West Ham was insane. Just experiencing that.
Exactly. And as you said, obviously you weren't around to see Bobby play, and that's sort of weird segue is why I started this idea. I think it was, I don't know, one Saturday I was looking at Wikipedia, and there was an article about West Ham the club had done a survey in 2003, I think, of 500 fans asking about their dream 11. And I was like, my dream 11's going to be Bobby Moore, because, as you said, I know about the memories, and I know about Phil Parkes and Jeff Hurst and Brooking, but I never saw any of them. So I thought there must, I'm not, I'm almost 40, so there must be lots of people either side who want to, do that again. So that's the idea of this, and the whole idea, and it just took off a little bit, which is lovely. So in terms of your, as I said, we're doing this 11. I said we try and keep it to a 4-4-2.
Yep.
We try, obviously, it's your 11. You talk about who the hell you want to talk about, but you have to be alive to have seen them play. It's your obviously preference. So we wouldn't be able to put Bobby Moore in, but we could put in Gary Breen. Seems a fair swap, but yeah.
Yeah. We didn't put him in. But yeah.
Oh, in case spoiler alert, guys. so in terms of the Steve 11, who would we go between the sticks? Who's going to be your number one?
Well, I thought about this quite a bit. There was someone that in my head came out straight away. I was like, I've got to put him. And then I thought, actually, what am I picking the players for? Because I think you said, I'd go with a theme if you want, come up with whatever you want.
Yeah.
So for me, I've gone for the people that impressed me about not necessarily how good they were, but made me feel like they just wanted to play all the time, or the character they were as a person, or the incredible ability they had that then inspired the whole ground. Because that, for me, being at West Ham, particularly the old stadium, the vibe that you get when the crowd is going for it is insane. And there is nothing like it. I can't really describe it to anyone who's never been there or experienced it. So when you kind of get some of these players on my team, hopefully that sort of relates a little bit. But So for me, I was going to go Fabianski's. I think he's probably one of the best goalies we've had for a long time in terms of that. But I've gone for Ludo because actually for him, for me in that era, I put McCluskey on. I think that when I was growing up, when I was kind of starting to properly get into West Ham, he was in the sticks, and just the character of him, and obviously he's good goalie as well, and I think his personality as well, and I think I must have seen him at one or two of those events I talked about.
He would have been at those things, because
he's
such a nice guy, and that's what comes across. Obviously, same as you've had your experience with Harry. A lot of people have had experiences with Ludo, which have been really nice to listen to and categorize. I always go back to Guillermo Holt, in the Scandinavian Hammers, in that they did an event, which they always do, but it was at the old ground when they were staying at the hotel, basically at the old ground, and Ludo said he would turn up, and they had and there was a players' lunch or players' evening dinner, something like that. Ludo left early to drive back to the ground and spent 3 hours with everyone, and I mean, he lived in probably Chigwell or something like that, because that's where his son went to school. So, fair play to him. You know what I mean? It's like he doesn't have to give that time, and he always seemed to give time. He was kind enough to say he doesn't really do interviews very often, or doesn't speak very well English in terms of these, so he won't be on the channel for the time being. So, but he was nice enough to reply. Do you know what I mean? C'est la vie, but it's a trouble when you live so close to Moscow. It's like okay, so put Ludo between his sticks. Let's go for left back. Steve, have we got left back?
Left back was straight in for me. I think we've had some good left backs over the years. Probably more left back than right back. We'll get on to that in a minute. I think I struggled a bit there, but left back for me was straight in Julian Dix. Easily for my viewing of different left backs that we've had. They've all been different and different quality for different reasons, but Dixie was just insanely talented. No, not so much talented, insanely West Ham. He just was a nutter. Hence his name, obviously, Terminator. One of my favourites, I can't remember what game it was, favourite moments was when he went, I think he had 2 penalties in a game, and the first one he absolutely hammered it. And then the second one, I think he was gonna, I can't remember what he did, but he absolutely hammered it again. But he sort of did some weird run up or maybe a pause, I can't remember. And we were all laughing and cheering when it went in. It was, I think that the way that he took penalties, that he's no nonsense tackling, just that he got the fans going. It was brilliant. And as you said, you're talking about sort of galvanising 11s. He would be your left back because he could galvanise the whole team, and all up to about 36,000 people with a Julian tackle or a 35-yard ping into the corner. It's a great shout. I think that's nailed on. Julian left back. Let's go right back the other side then, Steve. Did you struggle? Like I say, I think I struggled a little bit with this because I don't know in my head, the ones that I've seen play, they're not. Any of them have been like, oh yeah, that'd be easily in my top 11 for right back. So, like I said at the start, I started to go through who have I seen play and who sort of made my memories of watching West Ham when I was younger. And I think for me, I've gone Steve Potts for right back.
Yeah.
I know he's more. I think he played centre back a lot more than he did right back, but I know he played right back a little while.
Did.
But the other one I had there was, I think he was right back, was Tim Breaker. I was going to go for one point because I think, but he sort of came a close second, I think. And I don't think he was. I don't remember Tim Breaker being super talented as a defender, but he was pretty consistent and pretty solid and standard, and seemed to be regularly on the team sheet whenever. And again, I was quite young then; I wasn't really into tactics or anything, but he was someone that I remember always typically playing on a Saturday, and was So,
Potts is great shout. I mean, Tim. I mean, I've got a newfound respect for him, having sort of, there's nothing on Netflix at the moment, nothing. So I've been watching the end of season reviews that Robert Banks has put up on YouTube, and because I think Tim was sort of my era. I started in 92, 93, the season we went up, and watching him again, he was actually quite a good player. I've got a newfound respect for him going forward. He was quite progressive in that. You got to think, usually, not apart from Julian, fullbacks were they were defenders really, weren't they? Where now, thanks to Klopp and Guardiola, they have to be almost a second wingers. So but Potsy, Mr. West Ham, Mr. Reliable, obviously still with the club, and great shout. And obviously, he won Hammer of the Year a couple of times as well, which is again shows the people who win the Hammer of the Year and people who get runners up for Hammers of the Year, they're the ones who are like the fans. Obviously, are the ones who vote for it. So that gives me a new looking at people that I wasn't around to see. You see how often they were winners or runners up a Hammer of the Year. All right, they know what they're fucking doing. Okay, right, we'll put Potsy right back. Let's go for your first centre back. Then, Steve?
First centre back for me that was straight on, to be honest. He got better and better after he left West Ham, and obviously, as we all know, became one of the country's best defenders. Was Rio.
Yeah,
I put Rio Ferdinand in, and I don't think I really hesitated on that at all. I think he was. I remember seeing him play against England, against Saudi Arabia at Wembley. And it was quite early on his England career. And Anton, I remember we waited afterwards for some signatures, and Anton was hanging around as this little kid. And it really looked like him. I must be his brother. And he wasn't, he was probably, 13 or something at the time, Anton. But I remember waiting there when he came over and did his signature and stuff. And he was tall, but a really nice guy as well. And there was something about him that I think at the time people were spouting out the new Bobby Moore, all that sort of stuff, which kind of happens, Declan Rice-esque, happens to all the players that seem to be relatively good at tackling and then getting up with the ball and pass.
Exactly.
Bobby Moore.
But
he was super, super talented, I think, Rio. And obviously, as we all know, he got much better and stronger and more. And grew into his own, I think. But for someone, I think, as far as I'm aware, he started as a striker as well. So for someone I think he was easily on my centre back.
But again, it shows ball playing. Good players can play anywhere, can't they? And as you said, he could easily have played anywhere in that team, and performed well. He was quick. I think he came on. He came on definitely. It was started. His career as a striker, I think, and was a right back or right. And he sort of moved a bit back, a bit.
He did get moved around a bit.
Yeah. A bit.
I remember one point. I don't know what game it was. I do remember at one point he got put up front just for a last bit of the game. I think I can't remember who that was against. Probably Harry, manager.
Probably, yeah.
Doing it, but
so he does.
Yeah, I do remember that. He went up for a bit and played up front for a few minutes.
Yeah, that's like
4-0 or something.
Probably, yeah. It's like who else used to do that quite? Ian Pearce used to do that quite a bit as well.
Yeah.
Ian Pearce, God bless him. Okay, right. Okay, who's Rio going to partner in the middle?
So I wasn't too sure I was going to go quite recent, and then I've gone relatively recent. So for me, Diop has been solid. Diop has
Yeah.
been solid last couple of seasons. Consistent, strong. He's quick. He's pretty good on the ball. He sometimes makes silly mistakes, I think. But I think because I haven't seen him play as much as maybe I saw someone else play in recent seasons, and the consistency when he was playing so well, and the fact that he got a last goal at Upton Park, I've gone Winston Reid.
Yeah, good shout.
I think he's great with his head. He reads the game well. He would have been a good captain. I think he was captain a couple of times.
Yes,
wasn't he? Or
I think so. Yeah.
But yeah, I think Winston Reid's it's a shame because it feels like he's sort of just disappeared into the ether.
Yeah. I don't know how it all works at the moment because his loan spell in the MLS. Is he back? Will he be coming back? I don't know. I don't think anyone, anyone apart from the club knows. But I think it's a shame because, as you said, injury hampered him, which happens quite a lot. It seems West Ham players when they start getting
does weirdly, doesn't it? He was so good, and in that last season or two, I'll come on to a similar story, I think, or opinion about one or two other players in that last season or two of Upton Park. He was just so strong, solid, consistent, and it's a shame, obviously injury, but also I think he just got pushed out by the reality of injury, and then other players coming out.
Yeah,
but obviously he's just stolen that, I think.
Yeah.
Reid for me.
Good shout. Yeah, I like that. Good shout. Okay, let's go into midfield then, Steve. Let's go left wing. Who have you got left wing?
Left, I've got a bit of a wizard who a lot of people obviously don't like, but I just think he's one of the best players, particularly dead ball, as we know. Who I'm going to say, but I just can't.
Yeah, Vladimir Labanc.
Couldn't not have Payet in the team. He's just. You can't almost describe his talent.
Yeah.
See him on a good day, arrogant as anything, proper out of his kind of own head half the time, I think. But the talent was just like that goal. It was almost like a training goal. Who was it? He played and ran rings around about 7 players.
Was that Middlesbrough? Was it Middlesbrough? Yeah, at London Stadium.
That's it. And I just was like, what is that? That's Premier League.
And he went back and beat another one again. That's what made me laugh. He beat 3 over, and then he beat another 2. Just put in a net.
But, so I think Payet for me was an obvious. For just, and like I said at the start, for the players that have either impressed, you make me love West Ham even more, which I think he did when he was on it, as well as actually the way they play was this is exciting.
He was box office, wasn't he? He really was.
When he gets the ball before he's even done much, and that was and obviously then the whole. I remember seeing a little video at the end of a West Ham awards night, and Kouyaté was in the foyer singing "We've Got Payet."
Oh yeah.
That was well funny, that one. But
it's funny.
He brought something else out of us.
He did,
And actually, he brought out a lot on other players, and that's what happens, isn't it? When you've got great players around you, other people get inspired.
Up their game.
Definitely.
And I mean, I totally get that with Payet. I mean, he's the best. I've said before, he's the best player I've seen. Technically, the best player I've seen at West Ham. Di Canio, Payet, but I think Payet just because he didn't even need to get the ball, and people were excited. I remember, as I said before, I think it was Everton we were playing. He was on the bench. He'd been injured for 3 or 4 games, and we were excited because we know he was going to come on. He hadn't even touched the ball yet, and it's like for someone to have that, galvanizing sort of. Effect on a team. You
constantly expect something to happen.
That's the trouble.
The minute he's on the pitch, or we're on attack, and it might go over to the left, and you can see him shouting for it, and Nobes has gone backwards again. You're like, what are you doing?
Thanks. Just lay it down. But I mean, he was one of those players. That was, and he was a stumpy old fellow, weren't he? He wasn't like he wasn't svelte. He wasn't like a Lanzini, like a skinny little one. He was like quite a dumpy bloke, but just had this God-given talent. As I said,
gliding across the grass, wasn't it?
Yeah, exact gliding, exactly. There's not many players I've seen do that. One of them I did see was, I always remember, was Thierry Henry in his day when they used to come and play us at Upton Park, and he would literally, like, he was skating. It was incredible. But yeah, sadly not for West Ham. But, we had Freddie Canute. He was pretty similar in my opinion. Right, okay, so put Payet on the left. Who should we have on the right? Who's on the right wing then, Steve?
Yeah, again, like for me, I've thought about seeing Bowen play recently. Obviously, he's played 3 or 4 games or whatever, sub and full, and before lockdown and that. But he looks good. He looks really good. He looks really hungry. He looks excited. But it's not enough time, I think, for me to go. No. But he was on my brain a bit. But for me, I've gone for someone again similar to reasons for all the others in terms of the way that they make you feel as a West Ham fan when they're on their game, when they do what you know they can do. And Antonio is the nuts at that. He just
good shout.
Gives it. So for me, I've stuck Antonio on the right there because I think he's not technically, certainly not Payet-esque.
Nope.
But the effect, like you say about Payet, for a different reason, the effect that he can have on the impact of a game, the effect that he has on the crowd when he comes on, the effect he has when he's on the ball, when he's on a good game, the effect that he has on actually the opposition, straight off physically as well as
scared of him. So scared
of him. Yeah, all the time. And so for me, Antonio is, I think it fits in my top 11 for the impact player at least, even if he's playing the whole game. But definitely when he comes on and we need someone like that, he's a great sub to have as well.
It's a rare thing to have literally blistering pace, but be absolutely built. Because most you think like quick players, they tend to, I think of like the Matty Etheringtons and things like that, who was like he's quite skinny, so but he'd get pushed off, because he wasn't particularly built, but he's built and he could do. I don't know what his time for 100 is, but literally is it's a great shout.
He's a beast,
Absolutely.
Matty Etherington. I thought about actually because I used to like I in my brain, I don't know why I was a little bit confused. I used to see him as West Ham's answer to Ryan Giggs.
It's the hair. It's the hair. And I think it's the
hair.
hair.
Yeah, it's probably just the hair, to be honest.
Hair, and they similar bodies. I love
watching him. Yeah, that's true. No, same colour hair as well. But he obviously nowhere near talent as Ryan Giggs. But I think that sort of left wing trying to take players on was what we wanted to see at West Ham, and I think that's. He weren't going to make my 11, but I did like Matty Etherington.
Yeah. It's a dying art taking on a defender, I think, with pace. Just like, that's why I think Antonio is quite unusual. Because not a lot of people sort of knock it a bit wide and then go round. Most people try and cut inside and hit on the left, but he always knocks it and he just runs, and he's going to beat the defender. As you said, when he's on his game,
he does his homework as well, sure.
Exactly.
Plan that each game, like can I take on their left back?
Yeah.
But exactly. He's a good player.
That's a good shout. That's good. There's some pace. I like that. Right. Okay. Let's go centre mid then, Steve. Who's going to be your first centre mid player?
Well, for me, I couldn't not put Martin Noble in.
No.
He is Mr. West Ham in every possible way. It's a bit of a cliche phrase, to be honest now, but it's almost one that you can't not say. So again, not as like Antonio, not as technically gifted, but when he's on the pitch, he as a captain, he's probably one of the unsung heroes, I think, of British football in terms of the influence that a captain has on his team. I think he's brilliant, and
it's isn't he the longest serving Premier League player ever now, or something like that? Now there's some stat going around.
Something like that, indeed. Yeah, and I think he's still got another year or two in him. I think the last season at Upton Park, I was really excited, and there was calls for him to be in the England squad and everything. But last season at Upton Park, I think Payet had the influence, but he just upped his game, and he seemed. I think until that point, he seemed like he was slowly on a downhill a little bit. But I think he's a brilliant leader. Obviously a lovely guy, but I think he's for me, he was easily just going to get in there as someone. If I want someone in my team and we're going to go and play the Arsenal Select 11 or whatever, nobody in there straight off, because he's going to be someone that pulls that team together. He's going to talk across it. He's going to make us all a bit more shape. And but I think that for me that would be an easy shout.
You're totally right, and I think you're right in terms of saying about You know, his legs. You know, a lot of people thought he was drifting off. You know, playing less games, and I think someone mentioned it on the channel before. The emergence of Deck into the team means he didn't have to do any of the donkey work. That was Deck's job, and he could just do what he does. And I think when he's in the team, people feel better than when he's not in the team, because he's that leading presence, which is such a quality which not a lot of people have anymore now. It's a dying quality in the game, having that sort of galvanizing Mark Noble, you know, John Terry, you know, like, you know, Kevin Nolan, that sort of like, we can do this, guys, you know. And I think you need that in the team.
That bit as well, didn't
Scott,
he?
and I think Scott
was
learned
another option, I think,
exactly. And I think Mark learnt a lot when Scott was playing, because they were playing together. And this is how I see now with Mark and Deck. Hopefully, Deck will carry on and you know, and be that person, you know, when Mark hangs his boots up. Because, you know, he said he's probably got about another couple of seasons. It's maxing him, isn't he? Right, we put Nobes in. Who's Nobes going to partner in the middle then?
I've gone for Joe Cole next to him. I thought about Declan Rice because I think he's just one of the brightest, most intelligent, talented players I think I have ever seen, Rice. But I think Cole wasn't far off that. When I feel like he could have. I read an article about Joe Cole a little while ago, and it was something about why did Joe Cole sort of just slowly disappear too early from the height of the game. But I think Joe Cole was insanely clever as a footballer. He had bits of all of the players we've just talked about. He had a degree of leadership. He had a bit of fight about him. He had super talent with the ball, little tricks and flicks. He tried too hard sometimes, I think, but he could ping a ball really well, and a bit like Noble can every now and then. And I just think he had a real flair about him that was all. I don't really want to compare him to someone like Gaza, but the style of play often made me feel like that was our little East London Gaza. And I don't think he's a comparison really, but I think it's that sort of style. He was definitely.
He's a maverick player, wasn't he? That's what he was, a maverick player. And
you wanted to see him on the ball, a bit like Payet.
Exactly, and exactly what you said about that article. I think one of the reasons why people think he was, you know, didn't sort of fulfill all his potential was he was put into positions, and I think with players like that, you know, and again, I was chatting to Ian Dow. I think it was when I was talking to Ian Dow actually. You know, the free role doesn't happen anymore now. No one's got a free role in football, you know, like De Bruyne has to play his centre, you know, and I think Joe Cole in a free role would have been mustard, you know. I mean, he was always a great player and he's technically fine, but I just think it was almost like they put shackles on him by putting him on the left, you know, for England and Chelsea. And, you know, he was best when he came on for us, 1990, the FA Cup U final, you know, doing the 12s and the 5, you know, that's what he was good at. And that's what people paid to see. It's a great shout. Great shout. And as I said, another West Ham boy in the team.
Yep.
I like that. It's always about the West Ham boys. Right, okay. Let's go up front then, Steve. Who's going to be your first striker?
So he was actually the first one I wrote down on my sheet is Di Canio.
Yeah, sure.
But I have no other things to say about that.
Well, it's not, is it? It's fair enough. Yeah. For our generation, he was, you know, our idol.
A nutter as well. And when he came to us, I was like, what? Why have you bought him? And I think I sort of remember Harold taking. I don't even know if we paid for him, but Harry got him, didn't he? I think was it.
Yeah.
Did he take him from straight out of his van or something from Sheffield Wednesday?
I don't know. It was literally like, I think it was like I think it was like $1.5 million or $2 million. It wasn't a lot at all. Okay. They wanted rid of him basically.
Yeah, that was it. And Harry was like, I can fix him type thing, and I think we'll keep him in check. And I think I was like, what are you taking this nut job on for? But he was just so talented.
Yeah.
And again, a bit like Payet and stuff. When you saw a ball come over to him, or when you saw him on the ball and he had his head down, he'd run, and you just like, this is like watching a magician. And then suddenly the ball's flicked over there and you didn't even know how he's just done that. But it's gone in the back of the net, or it's gone towards someone who pings it in. And he was super clever, clever player.
he was an entertainer, and you know,
Yeah,
West Ham fans like entertainers, whether it's a Julian tackle or a Payet free kick. You know, we don't like, you know, players who are middle of the road. We want people who are, you know, they'll have an 8 out of 10 one game, 9 out of 10 next week, a 3, because, but you know, but we know that, and it's like, you know, that's going to happen. And Di Canio is one of those. I think someone, I can't remember, Chris Scull or someone said, you'd pay your season ticket just to watch him, just because it was just entertainment, and that's what football is. You know, it is a sport, but we pay to be entertained, and he was an entertainer, and continues to be so now. You know, and that's what I love to see. Right, who's PDC going to partner up front then, Steve?
For me, I've actually gone John Hartson up front alongside him, and I think for me, I remember when he came with Kitson. And that partnership was pretty strong, I thought. I never really saw Kitson as an amazing player, really. But Hartson, he got like 24 goals.
He was up there. He was up there that year season,
And I think, I was gutted for him that he... I almost went Ashton. I think they're similar sort of players. But I think for me, Hartson was just... again, a bit exciting. He smashed the goals in. He got regular goals, and I remember listening to we didn't have Sky or anything when I was growing up, or when I was a bit younger, so we always listened to 5 Live or whatever, and if we weren't at the game, and I'd always be really excited when they cut to the West Ham game, because I'm waiting for them to say, and Hartson's just scored, because it became that kind of common thing that season. It was really exciting. So Hartson, he was a good player. He was a good player.
He was, and again, we love a trier, don't we? And he was like, he'd put it in, you know. And I think that's the whole of this team. Maybe Payet, maybe not, but they'd put in a shift, wouldn't they? Di Canio, obviously, if you were playing at home, but again, that was the Di Canio thing, you know, when he was away. Yeah, he had some good away games, but obviously, you know, anywhere north of Watford,
he'd do exactly what you've just done. He'd go, yeah,
exactly. Exactly. And that's what I loved about him. And I think, and Hartson, as you said, you know, we haven't had a prolific goal scorer like that since Hartson, really. But as you said, it gives a nice finish to the team, because you've got like a guy who's going to hold it up. Johnny would hold it up and play it off to Payet or Joe or PDC, and there's a nice bit of chemistry there. Nice team, Steve. Steve, it's been brilliant chatting to you. I really enjoyed it. It's been really, really fun. And obviously, it's been great. Thank you for coming on. I know you. Everyone has been so generous with their time, but honestly, thank you. I know you're probably doing lots of orders in terms of Father's Day at the moment.
I've got a few actually. Yeah.
That's brilliant.
People can still get them in. Steve Kreeger.co.uk.
By the time it goes out, Father's Day may be very, very close.
Father's Day is probably a bit late now.
Anyway, just as a nice present, for a lockdown present or whatever, for your dad or for partners or
your home office. Look,
home office, exactly. Look, he's got it there. He's got it next to the guitar. My firm's doing a sort of summer Secret Santa at the moment, where so it's nice to get like a present from some, it is what it is, but so it's quite sweet, but that's all those types of things. And obviously, thank you to everyone for listening. Like, share, subscribe. You know what to do. And until next time, guys, take care, stay safe. Cheers. Bye bye.